think, how they think I'd look. Like, their opinions are valid. But if I'm looking for a specific result, I need a specific opinion or I need specific knowledge. So, what we have to do is understand between general actions and then highly specific actions. Where, when it comes to highly specific actions, okay, and highly specific actions are, you know, anything that we have to devote a lot of time and attention to succeeding in, but also it's anything that is vital to, the core of us, to us fulfilling, our life's desires while on earth. So understanding this is just understanding that if we, like, as people, don't live the life we want to live, we become highly negative and toxic, because there's no point living a life that makes you miserable. So the problem is with society doesn't want that. For as much as society talks about, equality and individuality and freedom, that's not the reality we live in. The reality we live in is that there is exception to being outside of the box, but there is high scrutiny as well. So, like, for example, look at Elon Musk. He, supported, the Ukraine army by giving them, you know, um, like the Starlink and stuff like that, not the internet access and all the tactical stuff. But like, what happened was, after 2 years, he didn't want to foot the bill anymore. And they were sort of acting like, well, you have to always foot the bill. Like, we need it. And the problem is, everyone overlooks what he did for them, and then focuses in, well, he should just eat the costs. But it's sort of like, I'll put it like this. Let's say you're in the desert, and you're a group of, say, like 10 people, and 2 people are really pissed off at each other because you're lost in the desert, and you have to, walk back to your base or walk back to shelter or wherever you're going. And 2 people decide that they want to have it out and they want to fight. And they're going to fight until there's a winner. So they're going to do, boxing matches, so everyone has to stand around in the sun, consuming their water. And then these 2 people, start to get exhausted. So they require additional water. And they require additional water, and they keep going and they keep going, and no one says anything. And then at a point, they put themselves into a critical situation. The thing is that, like, when we do that, when we forgo what we need to do to make sure we're safe for other people's egos or for other people's opinions or their points of view, okay, in life, because this happens many times, like, you may want to do something specific. Like, let's say maybe you want to spend 6 years traveling through Europe, going around and seeing every museum and every place and recording it because that's what you're passionate about, right? And you put that off for other people's egos, i.e., let's say it's family and it's parents, because they don't see the value in that, because the point of that isn't, it's not to make a profit. Like, the thing is when you follow your passion, you'll live the most profitable life. But when you follow your passion, profit isn't the intention. So when you do things without profit being the intention, profit is a result. Because when you do something without the intent of profit, you focus more on the intent of the actions and the meaning behind the actions. So every action has the right meaning. So, you know, that's the problem with other people's points of view, is if we let them in to the critical aspects of who we are. That's what self-validation is building a barrier of my ideal self and who I am, and you know all the core beliefs that I hold about life, you know and the universe and just everything. I create such a strong belief in those that other people's opinions cease to matter. Because if I'm not strong within my belief on what I believe in life as being true, that's when we get basically we get compelled to do things that we don't want to do. So think about it like this. Okay, for any war that happens, prior to any war happening, the government of each country has to build animosity between the peoples. Typically for, 5, 10, maybe 15 years prior, depending on the aggressiveness of the strategies. Like we can see it now with how the media goes after China, and how the narrative is being created that there's nothing but a fight with China. So, because if the population isn't prior, isn't like the animosity isn't created between the people to the point of being willing to kill, like they're not going to be effective soldiers. So, many countries use false flag attacks, or they'll, weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, you know, all this stuff. So, they have to create this idea or this ideal of who the enemy is, you know, who this bad person is that you should feel hatred towards. And the thing is when we always validate externally, the problem is the the way that they position this information is underhanded. So they say this while smiling and talking politely in a soft tone. They do all these things where they use psychological, conditioning tools of, for example, I'll give you an example of this, and it's really cool. But basically, if we're just having a good conversation and I'm talking at this relaxed tempo, and then I increase and decrease and increase and decrease and increase and decrease, okay? But if I increase on specific words that have a shared linked meaning, you won't understand what's happening. But what will happen is you start to associate, okay, when you hear the increase with that meaning. So I can use that to start manipulating your mind by embedding a specific meaning. So, for example, they do this in sales, and things like that, where, one of the sales strategies, I'm not sure who created it, but basically, you want to get people saying yes. So you ask them irrelevant yes questions where the only answer is yes, or if they're pissed off, they might say no. So I'd ask you, do you like it when it's sunny outside? Yes. Oh. Have you been outside lately when it's, been sunny and beautiful that you remember? And people will say yes. And you're getting them to say yes, and then we start switching around the questions. So then we start asking them, we're asking them a general question, and then we'll put in a specific question where we'll ask them, well, do you really like the product? Like it suits your it suits your needs, right? And they'll say yes. before they've even realized, because it's just a behavior. They're just used to saying yes and nodding their heads. So while we're talking, we're nodding our head, getting them used to it. Because if I sit here and nod my head and you watch it, you'll start watching the behavior, and then you'll naturally look to mimic it. Because what this is, when I'm nodding my head and you look to mirror me, okay, this is a looking to connect. So this is one way in communication that we seek to connect with one another, is by mirroring behavior and attitude. So like, for example, if you're not aggressive and I come over and I'm aggressive, it's going to create, this sort of interaction where my energy will be high and harsh and yours will be low and calm, and there'll be a mismatch, and it'll sort of just be an awkward situation. Whereas if we're both high in aggressiveness and we're interacting, it'll be a more equal exchange. But, emotional states mean that logic isn't the main thing that's happening. So illogical actions happen. But the key to it is like, the more, we prepare our mind, and the more we prepare ourselves, okay, to be able to handle our different emotional states, okay, the more we can stay in a neutral stance where we're not reacting to everything that happens, but we're choosing what we want to move towards. So we're in a position where we're able to now dictate the tempo, because that's what we're looking to do. Is we're looking to create a frequency and a tempo in communication or engagements that is appeasable to other people. So the tones that we use, I don't know what it's called, maybe harmonics, but the different frequencies that we bring our voice through to animate it, to create, because what that does is, when you hear someone who is animated in their voice, your mind tells you different bits of information. When you hear things in different tones, your mind hears different information. So we got to understand that, like, there's a very heavy importance on how we communicate, not just what we communicate, because what we communicate makes up such a small portion of how we communicate. And the problem is, okay, with the media, if we're not looking for the messages that they're truly pushing, okay, so for example, take COVID. They pushed the hospital death rates, and they pushed the, on the media and things like that to get our attention there, when in fact, community spread was quite low. Like, it wasn't this apocalyptic event, but they pushed our attention there to keep us focused there, so that they could create the narrative of the story that was happening, that basically, if the government didn't have full authority and power to dictate the lives of their individuals or their people, that the world would collapse, anarchy would ensue. When in fact, if we had just stopped the bravado and just doubled down, instead of investing in all the bullshit trying to keep up the, the imagery and the fucking narrative, if they just invested into the treatments from the day dot, job would have been done. Like, there was no need to do all that bullshit, all that media campaigning, all that wasted fucking money when they were in fucking Parliament talking shit about fucking vaccine bills, and wasting fucking taxpayers' money and wasting fucking time. They closed the border, they closed the fucking economy, they did all these stupid things rather than deal with the fucking problem. And that's one of the big things, is if you just deal with the problem, job done. So in life, the problem is if you want to do something in life, many people will have opinions about how you should do it and the ways that it should go and what's going to come up against you. And they're going to create all these beliefs because they can't imagine themselves just putting in the effort. Listen to David Goggins, he talks about it. All you have to do is put in the effort to what you want. Nothing more, nothing less. You don't even have to be excited about it. You don't even have to be happy about it. You can be miserable, put in the effort and get the result and still be miserable. You can be happy, put in the effort, get the result, and you still be happy. You can be happy, put in the effort, don't get the result, and then just choose to continue to put in the effort until you do get the result. But the problem is, once we start validating ourselves externally, then we get onto other people's time frames. Then we get onto other people's thoughts on effort and this and that. And that's the bullshit. So, for example, there's two ways to launch a business. The first way is you launch that business and do whatever you need to do until it succeeds. And the second way is you launch that business with a business plan that runs for 12 months and you'll review after 12 months. Like, that's how we approach life. We either go all in and choose to just do it, or we choose to make plans and bullshit and talk shit about doing it. And we overcomplicate it and we, put a time limit on it. We put an amount of effort we're willing to give. I want to be in my best health, but I'm not willing to diet 7 days a week. I'll diet 6 days a week. Like, if you want to be in your best health in terms of diet, you just choose a diet that is the most healthy and natural. Like, that's all you do. You just make that choice. There's no ifs, buts, maybe. There's no complication. It's just, if I eat fucking fruits and vegetables, I lose weight. Like, if I eat foods that are fresh in the context of, have been picked in the last couple of, days to weeks, or made in the last couple of days to weeks, opposed to 2 to 3 months to 6 months ago, like, I'm always going to be healthier, because the healthiest food is the ripest food, straight from the bushes, straight from the trees. But what we do is in life, many of us, I used to be like this. It's the trap. It's the trap of other people's bullshit. Because you just got to understand, like, think about anything in life. Like, the best example I can always give is when you're in love with someone. When you have a deep crush on someone, or you're in love with someone, and you think about like what you would say or what you would do and all of that. And it's like, when it's real and true, like, you just do it. Like, you just get the urges, and if you follow your natural urges to take action, like, that's just the path to success. There's no need to figure it out. All you do is ask yourself, where do I want to go? And then you just listen to yourself for the path, and you just do the work and walk the path. But the problem is majority of people will say, I'll walk the path for 6 days. If I haven't reached it in 6 days, it's not for me. And that's the thing, is there's two ways to look at it. Okay? How much am I willing to give? Okay? Or how much am I able to give? So when we look at it in the context of how much am I able to give, we're looking at it as, what is the effort that I can sustain for an indefinite period of time that is comfortable but also moves me towards my goal? Opposed to saying, 100 actions is my limitation. Okay, so I have to choose now the right actions to take to be able to do that. So do you get it? Like the ones that are trying to do something, they're just saying, I'm willing to do X amount of work. So everyone makes this up in their own mind. And basically they overthink, and they think that some actions are more effective than other actions, when in truth all actions compound through consistency. So if you just take the approach to how much can I sustain over an indefinite period, you're guaranteed success. If you try, on the other hand, to do something, and you want to make plans and try and figure out the most efficient way and do this and do that and try and maximize this and that, by all means, waste time and energy. Because the thing is, you'll do something for a week or two, and then you'll give up because you'll think there's another path. When in fact, all you have to do is walk down the path. You don't know how long it is. It could take a day, it could take a week, could take a month. It doesn't matter. Like, what do you need to be able to do it? So that's the thing in life, is the majority of people's opinion that we listen to and limit ourselves by are people that are just trying to live life. They're just trying in life. They're not actually doing anything. They're just trying. Because the thing is the ones that know that do in life, that just go out there and do, understand that it doesn't matter what you do, so long as you do something. So long as you just choose something to do with your life, you'll have a meaning in life and purpose. If you never choose to do something because you're trying to find the right thing, you'll always live without meaning, wasting your time on illusions and